And speaking of placing bets, would you invest in a Chinese company? If you're a regular in the stock market, chances are you'll steer clear of anything Chinese at the moment. Globally, investors are pulling back from China's market, and these investors are doing so because they're apprehensive. Chinese stocks are rapidly losing their value, and this sentiment applies to Chinese investments in India as well. They're increasingly being viewed with suspicion. The broad sentiment is negative, and it's getting worse by the day. Two leading names are in trouble: Xiaomi and Paytm. Both are market leaders. Xiaomi is among the leading smartphone sellers in India, while Paytm is synonymous with digital payments. But both companies are under the lens now because of their Chinese connections. We'll start with Xiaomi. This company has raised a concern. Xiaomi officials have written a letter to the government of India. It is about smartphone component suppliers. Xiaomi says these suppliers are wary of setting shop in India. I have a quote from that letter. This is what it says: there are apprehensions among component suppliers regarding establishing operations in India, stemming from the challenges faced by companies in India, particularly from Chinese origin. Xiaomi India's president has signed this letter. And what are the apprehensions? The company did not really spell them out. Reports say Xiaomi is concerned about compliance and visa issues, but towards the end, the statement really gives it away. Here's what it says: challenges faced by companies in India, particularly from Chinese origin. That's what Xiaomi is worried about. India's scrutiny of Chinese companies. That's what they don't like. Their rise in India was rapid, but in recent years, Xiaomi has had some run-ins with the law. In 2022, Indian officials froze their assets worth over $600 million. They were frozen. Do you know why? Because Xiaomi is said to have violated Indian laws by remitting some money illegally. So company assets were frozen. Last year, Xiaomi moved court against this decision, but a judge rejected their appeal. Then you have Vivo, another Chinese smartphone maker that has faced scrutiny. Just like Xiaomi, Vivo too is accused of remitting money illegally. It was also pulled up for visa violations. Reports say 30 Chinese executives of Vivo came to India. They were given business visas, but when they applied, these executives hid the fact that they worked for Vivo. Plus, some of these employees ended up traveling to Jammu and Kashmir, which was a breach of their business visa provisions. Because Jammu and Kashmir is a sensitive region. Foreigners cannot just travel there. They need permission for it. In addition to a visa, they need a special permit to visit regions like Jammu and Kashmir. Vivo employees violated these rules. So India had valid reasons to investigate. But China does not see it this way. Beijing says Chinese companies are facing discrimination. Listen to this.
China hopes that India can fully understand the mutually beneficial nature of the bilateral economic and trade cooperation and provide a fair, just, transparent business environment for Chinese enterprises there.
If that was indeed the case, India wouldn't have cleared 80 Chinese FDI projects in 2022. 80 projects were cleared, 80. India doesn't have a problem with Chinese investment. It has an issue with shady and murky transactions. And that's the reason why Paytm too is facing scrutiny. The Indian fintech giant, it is facing regulatory trouble. We've been telling you about this. Paytm has been put on notice by India's central bank. It has run afoul of compliances. But for many years, Paytm has ignored warnings from authorities, and now it faces a potential ban from the payment space. Multiple payment services on the app could shut down in March. Paytm is also facing scrutiny for its Chinese links. The company has a Chinese investor. Jack Ma-led Ant Group invested in Paytm, although last year they reduced their stakes. Now they own less than 10% of the shares in Paytm. Now reports say the government of India has set up a panel. It will look into Chinese investments in Paytm, among other things. Moral of the story? Rule of law may be an alien concept for China, but India's message on that front is quite clear. This is non-negotiable. If a Chinese company or investor wants to do business in India, they'll have to follow the rule book.